This is the last signal radio. If you can hear me, listen carefully. The world is changing. Slowly at first, almost imperceptibly, branches sway without wind. The air feels heavier, thicker, charged with a presence that shouldn't exist. Leaves tremble, even when the sky is still. The ground, soft and familiar yesterday, begins to pulse as if alive. The change begins quietly, almost imperceptibly. Branches tremble without wind. Trunks lean toward open ground, shifting imperceptibly as though sensing presence. Leaves shiver even in still air, sending small, eerie rustles through the forest. Birds erupt from the trees, screaming in panic, yet no storm approaches. The soil vibrates beneath the faintest pressure, a warning too subtle for most to notice. Something ancient is awakening, moving with intent, a force that has waited centuries to reclaim the land. At first, the movements are almost invisible. A single tree leans a fraction toward a path. A root pushes slightly through the soil. People dismiss it as imagination, a trick of perception. But the subtle shifts grow impossible to ignore. Entire groves begin to rise, roots tearing free from the earth with a sound like grinding stone. Trunks bend and twist, lifting vast sections of forest as if they have grown legs overnight. Hills heave, valleys fold, and streams twist into impossible directions. The world as it was known is collapsing under the deliberate advance of the green. Animals react first, guided by instinct far sharper than our understanding. Herds surge across meadows, fleeing the encroaching forests with a terror humans can feel, but not fully comprehend. Birds vanish into the sky in tight, chaotic flocks, calling out shrill warnings that echo across the hills. Rivers, once calm and navigable, become unpredictable. Currents rise and shift, banks collapse, and those who attempt to follow familiar routes find themselves swept into rushing water, thrown off course by movements of the land itself. Every natural feature, the ground, the trees, the streams, has turned into both obstacle and threat. People stumble, panic-stricken, as the forest overtakes everything. Vehicles abandoned mid-escape are crushed beneath rising roots. Trails vanish in moments, replaced by choking undergrowth or bending trunks that block any sense of direction. Open clearings no longer guarantee safety. The forest seems aware, moving as if to test, to probe, to corral. It stretches, contracts, bends, and shifts. One moment, a path appears clear. The next, it is gone, swallowed by living wood and twisting roots. The force is not chaotic. It is purposeful. Every bend of a trunk, every rise of a root, every shift in a river's flow seems deliberate. It is reclaiming what humans assumed they owned: land, paths, open space, water. Every inch we have altered, every mark we have left, every structure we have raised is being undone with methodical precision. It does not rage, it does not panic. It waits, it observes, and it remembers. Humans are learning, painfully, that survival no longer depends on speed or strength. Observation is essential. Understanding subtle patterns in movement, gaps in the green, the hesitations of roots and trunks, These are lifelines. Every escape is temporary. Every step carries risk. One misstep, one moment of distraction, and the forest claims you, crushing flesh beneath bending trunks, swallowing feet and legs with roots that twist like living hands, sweeping the unwary into rushing streams. It is not malice. It is a reclamation. The earth is restoring itself, asserting its power over a species that believed it could dominate. To see the soil heave beneath your feet, to feel roots crack stone, to hear the low groan of bending trunks. It is to recognize your own fragility. Civilization, machines, and human ingenuity are fragile toys in a world older than memory. Humans are intruders in a system that has endured millennia. Some survivors begin to notice patterns, fleeting and subtle. A root pauses, as though testing intention. A trunk leans, then withdraws, leaving a temporary path open, only to shift again moments later. Rivers slow, redirect, then surge in new directions. Fallen logs mark where previous humans have tried and failed. The land itself writes lessons in its soil and timber, and those who pay attention live. Those who ignore them disappear. Survival is no longer instinctual. It is analytical, strategic, and humble. The forests advance with intelligence beyond human comprehension. Every movement is calculated. Every obstacle, every barrier, every narrow path is assessed and adapted to. The land is alive in a way we cannot understand. Not thinking as humans do, but knowing, remembering, and responding. It catalogs every attempt to flee, every step taken, every act of resistance, and uses that knowledge to advance. The earth does not need to hunt or attack. It reclaims. Every inch we have taken, every path we have carved, every footprint we leave behind is being absorbed back into the world that existed long before us. Fear grips those who survive. Exhaustion follows. Hunger, thirst, and injury compound the terror of knowing that the world itself is alive and watching. Open spaces vanish. Trees twist to block paths. Roots rise where none existed before. Rivers flood, redirect, and drown the unprepared. Even the smallest pause can cost life. Those who endure move like shadows, observing the smallest detail. A bend in a branch, a hesitation in a root, a shift in the current of a river. Every signal, no matter how slight, can mean the difference between survival and disappearance. This is a world reclaimed. Civilization has no power here. Structures collapse under twisting trunks. Paths are swallowed by rising roots. Open ground is fleeting. Humans are no longer masters, only temporary observers. Those who live understand the rules: patience, observation, humility. Move carefully, measure every step, predict, respect the land. Even then, survival is temporary. The first signs are not warnings. They are lessons. The soil trembles, roots rise, trunks twist, and rivers bend. Every inch reclaimed, every pathway blocked, every stream redirected teaches a simple truth. The earth is alive, it remembers, and it is taking back everything humans have claimed as theirs. The forests advance with purpose, patience, and intelligence far beyond comprehension. Humanity is intruding in a world that has endured for millennia and will endure long after we are gone. Every tree, every root, every river is reclaiming space. Every mark we leave is remembered. Every escape is temporary. Every step is measured, recorded, and countered. The land is alive, and it is reclaiming the earth with a force we cannot resist. Humanity is fragile, temporary, and utterly insignificant. Entire forests have begun to move. Roots tear free from soil, rivers twist against expectation, and open ground vanishes beneath bending trunks. Hills rise and fall as if the land itself is heaving. Streams flood unpredictably, redirecting their courses to trap those fleeing. Every path once considered safe is swallowed or redirected. Survival is no longer a matter of speed or strength. It is a matter of understanding, observing, and respecting a force far older and far smarter than humans. Animals react first. Herds surge across open ground, fleeing the relentless advance of roots and trunks. Birds scream in unison, disappearing into the sky. Even water betrays its reliability. Streams and rivers rise, banks collapse, currents shift, and anyone relying on familiar routes is swept into unexpected peril. Every natural feature, hills, valleys, rivers, open fields, has become a weapon of the forest, each movement purposeful and precise. And it is not just local forests. The Amazon itself is moving. Vast stretches of dense jungle, swamps, and rivers are advancing, slowly but inexorably, toward human settlements. Roads, farmland, and open plains are being consumed by the rising green. The sheer scale is terrifying. Trees taller than skyscrapers bend and move, roots ripping through the earth with unbelievable force. Streams and tributaries surge unpredictably, turning familiar landscapes into mazes of impossible obstacles. The world is beginning to panic. Authorities cannot respond. Communication networks falter. Attempts to flee are futile. Even the most remote areas are not safe. The forest advances as a single, intelligent force, testing, learning, and adapting to every human tactic. A path that seemed open moments ago is gone, replaced by bending trunks or surging waters. Every step, every hesitation, every escape route is observed and countered. Humans are no longer masters. Civilization's temporary constructions, roads, bridges, vehicles, are crushed beneath rising roots or swept away by redirected rivers. Open clearings vanish. Every refuge is fleeting. The forest is patient. It waits, studies, and moves with deliberate precision. Every human action is recorded and adapted to. Some survivors begin to notice subtle patterns. Roots pause as if testing intentions. Trunks lean to block paths before retracting. Water flows shift in slow, measured pulses. Fallen logs and disturbed soil mark where humans have attempted escape, lessons written in earth and timber. Those who pay attention may survive. Those who ignore the signals are claimed by the land. The scale of this reclamation is overwhelming. From local forests to the far reaches of the Amazon, humanity is confronted with the fact that the world it believes it owns is alive, patient, and unstoppable. Every step is dangerous, every moment uncertain, and every inch reclaimed is a reminder that humans are intruders, temporary and fragile. Survival now depends entirely on humility, observation, and adaptation. There is no fight here, no chance of resistance. The forests do not tire. They do not panic. They do not act out of malice. They are reclaiming what belongs to the earth. Every movement, every bend of a branch, every rise of a root is a calculated step in a global reclamation. Humans must learn to move with care, to understand patterns, and to respect the intelligence embedded in the land, or be swallowed by it. The Amazon, moving with relentless precision, becomes the ultimate symbol of nature's resurgence. Rivers and tributaries flood unpredictably. Swamps rise to engulf open land. Even the most fertile farmland and cleared plains are claimed. Humanity realizes, in the most terrifying way, that no place is safe. The forest is everywhere. The earth is patient, and it is reclaiming everything we ever assumed we controlled. Reports flood in, emergency alerts, warnings, satellite images, all confirm what no one wanted to believe. Forests are moving with deliberate force. Entire regions are being overtaken, and even the deepest reserves of greenery, the Amazon, are advancing toward inhabited lands. Governments scramble to respond, but their systems are failing. Communication networks collapse under the strain, and emergency channels are overwhelmed. Official statements appear contradictory, delayed, or impossibly vague. Authorities struggle to coordinate responses as the forest defies all logic. Maps become obsolete within hours. Highways buckle, bridges vanish, and rivers change course in real time. Even regions considered remote are no longer safe. Panic spreads faster than the advancing green. People flee blindly, jamming roads, abandoning vehicles, or scrambling across unstable terrain. In control rooms, military and government officials pore over satellite images. Massive groves move in formation. Entire landscapes ripple like living carpets. Analysts speak in whispers, unable to make sense of coordinated patterns, root systems redirecting rivers, and trunks bending to block or funnel human movement. No model, no prediction, no technology accounts for this. It is a planetary phenomenon, an intelligence embedded in the Earth itself, and it cannot be stopped. Citizens call in frantically. Families are trapped by advancing forests. Survivors climb hillsides. Vehicles left behind as roots erupt beneath tires. Rivers suddenly swell, sweeping entire groups from their paths. Panic is palpable. People are terrified of losing everything, of being swallowed alive by trees, roots, and rivers that move as though they are thinking. Fear, confusion, and desperation dominate every corner of society. Governments attempt evacuation protocols, but every route is compromised. Roads crumble beneath bending trunks. Bridges collapse under root pressure. Open fields are engulfed. Rescue convoys are trapped, rerouted, and ultimately forced to retreat. Military units attempt to clear paths, but roots rise, trunks twist, and rivers surge in unexpected directions. It is not just nature. It is strategy, intelligence, and adaptation combined. Amid the chaos, instructions are issued to observe, to stay calm, to avoid open paths. But no one can keep up. The forest moves faster than orders can be given. Panic overwhelms coordination. People cling to temporary shelters, some climbing trees, others taking refuge on rooftops or ridges, only to realize that even elevated positions are not safe. Branches bend toward them, Roots push beneath. Water redirects to reach them. Humanity's sense of control is gone. Even emergency communications falter under the relentless advance. Signals are cut by shifting terrain. Power grids fail as roots tear through lines. Satellite feeds show forests in coordinated formations, swarming over hills, redirecting rivers, and forcing humans into constricted zones. It is no longer about survival. It is about observation, testing, and the relentless adaptability of the land itself. Fear spreads faster than the forest. Families abandon possessions, towns are emptied, and humans scatter like prey. Panic becomes contagion. Every person is forced to make impossible decisions. Which path to take, which river to trust, which clearing might survive the advance for even a few minutes. The land adapts instantly to every choice, and those who hesitate are swallowed. The forest does not discriminate. Every region, every settlement, every piece of land is part of its reclamation. The Amazon surges forward, a massive, intelligent wave consuming everything in its path. Trees bend like sentinels, roots shift like cages, rivers flood like living walls. Humanity is confronted with the terrifying reality that there is no safe haven. The world begins to understand the scale of what is happening. This is not a storm, a wildfire, or a localized disaster. This is planetary reclamation. Nature is asserting itself, reorganizing the land, redirecting water, uprooting human infrastructure, and testing every action we take. Governments, institutions, and experts are powerless. Survival is now individual, immediate, and desperate. Observation, adaptability, and quick decision-making are the only lifelines. Panic dominates streets, highways, and open ground. People are terrified, not just of being crushed or trapped, but of what this reclamation represents. Humanity is being reminded of its fragility, its impermanence. Cities, towns, and communities no longer matter. They are temporary constructs against a force that remembers, observes, and adapts. The Earth is patient, intelligent, and relentless. Every misstep is recorded. Every hesitation is noted. And the green tide waits, watching, learning, advancing. This is the moment humanity begins to realize the truth. We are not masters of this world. We are intruders, observers in a landscape that is alive, aware, and reclaiming what was once its own. Every attempt to flee is anticipated. Every strategy is countered. The forests, from local groves to the Amazon, are moving with precision, intelligence, and unyielding patience. The chaos is not random. It is deliberate. And the world is powerless to resist. Survivors are beginning to understand that panic is death. Chaos will kill faster than roots, rivers, or falling trunks. Those who endure are learning to observe, to read the forest like a map written in motion. Every pause in a root's advance, every hesitation in a bending trunk, every subtle shift in water flow reveals information. The land is not mindless. It is deliberate. And those who survive must be deliberate in turn. They study patterns. Roots avoid certain spaces, twisting around rocks or gaps in the earth. Branches stretch toward humans, retreat, then reappear, blocking paths previously thought safe. Rivers redirect with uncanny precision, cutting off escape routes and creating natural funnels. The forest is patient, calculating, testing. Every movement humans make is analyzed, and the land adapts. Shelters are temporary and fragile. Fallen buildings, abandoned vehicles, and rooftops offer fleeting refuge. Even these are only safe if survivors watch the forest's rhythm. A single misstep, leaning too far, pausing too long, ignoring the subtle cues, can result in being swallowed by roots, pinned under trunks, or swept away by redirected streams. Survival is no longer about strength or speed. It is about perception, understanding, and 𝗙𝗻. Groups form small networks. They share observations. The roots bend around the rocks here, but avoid the cleared space to the north, one whispers. The river slowed for 3 minutes and then surged again. It might be a temporary opening, another notes. Every detail matters. Each observation can create a path to safety or save a life. Humans have learned, painfully, that they cannot force the forest to yield. They must move with it, anticipate it, respect it. Movement is cautious, almost ritualistic. Feet step lightly over soil, listening to the cracks and groans beneath. Eyes scan constantly. Branches bending toward one path may retract in seconds, leaving a corridor open for escape, but only briefly. Rivers may offer a route, but their currents shift without warning. Every step is calculated. Every decision could be the difference between survival and being claimed by the land. The forest is teaching its own lessons. Open spaces are illusions. Gaps are temporary. Trees and roots manipulate terrain to corral humans into zones of danger. Fallen logs and twisting branches form natural barriers, guiding, testing, observing. The land adapts faster than humans can comprehend. One wrong move and a clearing becomes a trap, a river becomes a barrier, and what was once refuge turns into peril. Even fire, once a tool for protection, is unreliable. Flames are diverted by shifting winds caused by bending trees. Roots bend and twist to avoid burning, yet still redirect pathways and water. Attempts to cut through vegetation are countered as trunks reorganize and branches fall to close gaps. Every action taken by humans is anticipated, studied, and responded to. The forest is not mindless. It is aware, strategic, and patient. Survivors begin to develop instinctual understanding. Tiny pauses, subtle vibrations, changes in shade or leaf movement. These signals become lifelines. Some move in small groups, others alone. Every motion is deliberate. Observation becomes a survival skill as essential as breathing. Misreading a pause or overestimating an opening can result in immediate disappearance beneath rising roots or falling trunks. Knowledge spreads slowly, painfully, through experience. Human memory, once taken for granted, is now sharpened to track patterns, to detect repetition, to anticipate the forest's next move. It is no longer enough to flee blindly. The green is intelligent. It remembers. Every past action informs its future movements. And yet, despite the terror, there is a grim adaptation. Survivors begin to recognize the subtle beauty in the land's strategy. The sway of branches, the twist of roots, the flow of water. Each tells a story of intelligence older than humanity itself. Those who move with understanding feel a strange respect, a fragile alliance with a force they cannot control but must navigate. The key is patience, observation over action, awareness over panic. Every corridor is temporary. Every pause, every hesitation, every decision carries weight. Humans are intruders, observers, fleeting presences in a land that has endured centuries and will endure long after us. And so they move cautiously, quietly, learning to read the signals written in roots, trunks, and rivers. Every escape is temporary, every path fleeting. The forest does not tire. It does not rage. It waits. It watches. It adapts. Humans must do the same, or be swallowed entirely. The survivors who endure are no longer running blindly. They are beginning to see the forest as something more than obstacles, more than relentless destruction. It is deliberate. It is learning. Every root that rises, every trunk that bends, every river that redirects is part of a vast strategy. The land remembers. Every human action is observed, every escape anticipated. Patterns emerge for those who watch closely. Roots twist around rocks, avoiding some spaces while blocking others. Branches stretch toward humans, retract, and return to traps. Water shifts in predictable yet deceptive rhythms, slowing, then surging to block a path that seemed safe moments before. The forest tests, adapts, and reacts. Every attempt to flee or outsmart it becomes a lesson it records. Humanity realizes painfully that strategy is no longer optional. To survive, one must read the land, anticipate its movements, and respect its intelligence. Openings are temporary. Every clearing can vanish within minutes. Every stream may turn into a barrier. A root may rise in seconds to ensnare a leg or crush a vehicle. Misjudgment is fatal. Observation, precision, and patience have become the most essential skills. Groups share knowledge desperately. The trunk leaned west before retreating. There's a temporary corridor here, one whispers. The river paused for 5 minutes, then surged again. We need to move fast, another notes. Lessons are learned in sweat, blood, and terror. Survival depends on noticing what the land does, understanding why, and acting accordingly. Humans begin to move as the forest moves, not against it, but with it, anticipating shifts, reading pauses, sensing intent. Even minor missteps are deadly. A single hesitation allows a root to rise, a branch to snap down, a river to redirect. Every opening is fleeting. Every escape is provisional. Yet for those who pay attention, patterns provide hope. The land communicates through movement, through subtle shifts, through the rhythm of rising roots and bending trunks. To read the forest is to glimpse a consciousness older than humanity, patient and methodical. The Amazon, far to the south, continues its slow, inexorable march. The forest's intelligence spans continents. Massive rivers redirect entire valleys. Jungle swamps surge forward, enveloping cleared land and abandoned settlements. The green tide moves with precision, adapting to every human attempt to evade it. Humanity is learning that survival is about reading signals, predicting behavior, and avoiding direct confrontation. Even the bravest hesitate now. There is no fighting this. Weapons, barricades, and fire offer only temporary relief. Trunks twist around obstacles, roots bypass barriers, rivers surge unpredictably. The forest has a memory. Every action taken by humans, every strategy attempted, is catalogued, and the land responds. Survival is no longer about aggression. It is about understanding, patience, and humility. Some begin to communicate non-verbally, sharing subtle signals. A hand raised to indicate a root's pause, a nod to mark a shifting branch, a glance to signal a temporary opening in water flow. Every detail matters. Every observation can mean life or disappearance. Humans are intruders navigating a consciousness embedded in the land itself, adapting faster than any human mind can comprehend. This intelligence is terrifying in its scope. The forest is not chaotic. It does not stumble. It does not hesitate. It moves with awareness, recording every human error, learning every path taken, anticipating every escape. The trees, roots, and rivers are coordinated. Every bend, every surge, every pause is deliberate. Humanity is no longer acting upon the land. The land acts upon humanity, testing responses, shaping decisions, claiming spaces with precision, and yet there is a fragile sense of understanding. Humans begin to respect the rules of this living system. They realize that survival depends on observation rather than confrontation, patience rather than force, strategy rather than speed. They move carefully, almost reverently, reading the land's language, learning its signals, and acting with precision. Even as panic surrounds them, a new awareness emerges. The forest is not hunting out of malice. It is reclaiming, restoring, asserting its memory and its power. Humanity is learning at last that the earth is alive in ways we cannot imagine. Every step, every decision, every glance at a shifting root or bending trunk becomes a lesson in survival. The forest continues its advance, patient, deliberate, and intelligent. And humanity, small and fragile, begins to respond, not with resistance, but with careful observation, adaptation, and the understanding that every step taken is temporary, every escape provisional, and every survival a hard-won achievement against a conscious, remembering world. Survival has become a question of choices no human should have to make. Open ground is a death sentence. Trunks twist without warning. Roots rise where none were moments ago. Rivers redirect with sudden force, sweeping everything in their path. Every step carries risk. Every pause invites disaster. Those who survive do so through calculation, instinct, and a willingness to sacrifice what cannot be saved. Shelters offer only temporary refuge. Crumbling structures, abandoned vehicles, and fractured terrain provide fleeting protection. But the forest adapts. Branches bend toward walls, roots pry through foundations, rivers overflow into basements. Every space thought safe becomes a trap, teaching a brutal lesson in humility and endurance. Humans have learned quickly that possessions are meaningless, infrastructure is fragile, and the only certainty is movement. Families and small groups cling together, improvising strategies and sharing resources. Yet the pressure of constant vigilance wears on them. Fatigue, hunger, and fear gnaw at every mind. One miscalculation, leaving a child unobserved, slowing to collect supplies, hesitating at a crossing can lead to death. The forest does not forgive. It tests. It watches. And it adapts to human behavior with patience beyond comprehension. Sacrifice becomes inevitable. Someone must divert a route, block a path, or lure the forest's attention so others can escape. Parents leave food behind to carry children to safety. Friends create obstacles from their own bodies, slowing the advance to allow a companion to pass. Every act of survival carries a cost. Humanity is learning that to endure, some must give themselves to the reclamation, even if it means never being seen again. Rivers are deadly instruments. Currents rise without warning. Banks collapse. Those attempting to cross without observing the subtle shifts in water flow are swept away instantly. Fallen trees, once bridges, can become deadly barriers, twisting and shifting with the forest's movements. The land is no longer predictable. Every footfall, every decision is measured against the intelligence of an earth reclaiming what was lost. Amazon continues its relentless march. Massive trees bend, roots twist, rivers surge into plains, swamps, and farmland. Even the most remote areas are not safe. Open ground is temporary. Forests funnel humans into zones where survival becomes a gamble of observation and timing. Panic grips those who fail to read the subtle cues, a pause in movement, a hesitation in a branch, a momentary slack in a root's rise. Humans die because they underestimate the patient intelligence that surrounds them. Despite terror, some learn to endure. Observation becomes instinct. Every root, branch, and stream conveys a signal. Every movement is a lesson. Groups communicate silently, marking safe paths, noting temporary gaps, signaling danger. Survival is a matter of paying attention, respecting the land's memory, and moving with deliberate care. Even then, safety is provisional. The forest adapts faster than humans can react. Every path is temporary. Every moment is fragile. Desperation sharpens instincts. People move at night, slipping through shadows, listening to the soil, reading the rise of roots and the sway of trunks. They leave behind everything they cannot carry, choosing survival over material possession. They abandon homes, roads, and bridges, understanding that nothing man-made can withstand the reclamation. Every choice is weighed against the patient intelligence of the earth. Sacrifice is not always voluntary. A child trapped beneath a root, a companion lost in redirected waters, a temporary clearing collapsing into a river, all are reminders of the cost of misjudgment. Humanity is humbled by the scale and precision of the forest. Fear is constant, but observation, careful decision-making, and understanding the rhythm of the land allow life to continue, fragile as it is. The survivors begin to respect the rules the forest imposes. Open ground is fleeting. Rivers are alive. Roots twist like living hands. Branches bend as if testing humans. The Amazon surges forward, a continent-scale reminder of nature's patient intelligence. Humanity realizes it can no longer dominate. It can only endure. The cost is high. Every escape is temporary. Every survival requires vigilance. Every step carries risk. The forest observes, remembers, and adapts. Those who live understand that endurance is a combination of skill, humility, and sacrifice. They move with the forest, not against it, learning that survival is less about control and more about understanding the world as it has always been. Patient, intelligent, and infinitely powerful. And still, the land waits. It tests. It claims. It observes. Every human choice, every hesitation, every act of sacrifice is a lesson written in roots, trunks, and rivers. Humanity endures only because it adapts, learns, and respects the patient intelligence that surrounds it. Every moment of survival is a fragile victory against a force that is vast, deliberate, and unstoppable. The forest is no longer merely a collection of trees, roots, and rivers. Survivors begin to understand something that terrifies them. It is intelligent. Not in the way humans are, not with conscious thought or emotion, but with memory, strategy, and awareness far beyond comprehension. Every movement is deliberate. Every advance is coordinated. Every river, root, and trunk acts with purpose. Patterns emerge. Trees bend and twist in formations that funnel humans toward zones of danger. Roots rise to block one path while leaving another seemingly open, only to close it moments later. Streams redirect not randomly, but strategically, pushing humans into areas where the forest has already prepared obstacles. The land tests, observes, and learns. It adapts to human behavior with precision that is impossible to anticipate. The Amazon moves like a colossal army, but one guided by instinct and memory. Trunks hundreds of feet tall bend in unison. Roots ripple through the soil as though sensing pressure points. Swamps surge, redirecting rivers, shifting soil, and engulfing cleared land. Even distant forests seem aware of each other, advancing in patterns that suggest coordination across continents. Humanity is beginning to grasp the scale. This is not chaos. This is strategy. Survivors notice subtle signs. A branch may tremble before bending. A root may pause mid-rise. Observing these nuances can mean the difference between escape and death. The land remembers every step humans take, every tactic employed. One group attempts a path and fails. The next group finds the terrain subtly altered, as if the forest anticipated the same approach. Every action is recorded. Every miscalculation is countered. The scale of the intelligence is terrifying. Branches fall to redirect movement. Roots twist around obstacles with precision. Rivers surge in calculated ways. Even attempts at barricades or fire are anticipated. Trunks shift to avoid destruction while still maintaining control of pathways. The forest adapts faster than any human mind can comprehend. Observation and careful analysis have become survival skills. Misreading the smallest cue can be fatal. Communication among survivors has evolved. They signal pauses, hesitations, subtle shifts. Every movement is watched, every gap exploited. The forest does not attack out of malice. It tests, observes, and guides. It is a force ancient, patient, and unyielding, reclaiming every inch of land while forcing humans to adapt or vanish. Every strategy, every human maneuver is met with a counter. Even the Amazon, vast and sprawling, demonstrates coordination. Swamps, rivers, and dense jungle surge forward, shifting and bending with purpose. Lands cleared by humans are swallowed. Valleys redirect water, hills twist earth, and rivers block or funnel survivors into zones where the forest's intelligence can test them. The scale of the reclamation is global, a silent, deliberate assertion of control over every patch of earth we once claimed as ours. Humans adapt, but the lessons are brutal. One false step, one misjudgment, and the forest corrects instantly. Paths that seemed safe vanish. Rivers surge. Roots rise to block movement. Branches bend and trap. Even the most vigilant are caught unaware. Yet those who observe, who study the rhythm, who read the subtle patterns, find fragile openings, temporary corridors that offer a chance to survive another day. The forest's intelligence is patient. It does not tire. It does not panic. It records, adapts, and tests. Every human choice becomes part of its memory. Every failed escape is analyzed. Every attempt to manipulate the land is anticipated. Survivors begin to realize that this intelligence is not a foe in the traditional sense. It is the earth reclaiming itself with a precision that no human could hope to match. Fear is constant. Exhaustion, hunger, and desperation gnaw at every mind. Yet, understanding the intelligence of the green gives a fragile advantage. Observation becomes instinct. Every branch, root, and stream communicates information. Misreading the signals is deadly. Heeding them is survival. The forest is no longer just a landscape. It is a living, calculating presence that evaluates, predicts, and responds. The survivors move with respect and caution. Every step is measured. Every path is considered temporary. They have no control, only understanding. The land dictates the rules, the forest enforces them, and humanity adapts in small, fragile increments. Even now, as the Amazon advances with unstoppable force, humans realize that endurance depends on reading, learning, and moving with intelligence. The earth is alive, patient and calculating. Its memory spans centuries. Its strategy unfolds with terrifying precision. And humanity, small, fragile, and temporary, is forced to navigate a world that remembers, adapts, and never tires. Humanity has begun to change. Survival is no longer a matter of fleeing blindly or clinging to what we once thought permanent. We move differently now. Every step is measured. Every glance scrutinizes the subtle shifts of the land. The forest is patient, precise, intelligent, and we have no choice but to adapt or vanish. The rhythm of the forest becomes apparent to those who watch. Roots rise slowly, bend slightly, then accelerate. Trunks twist to block corridors. Branches stretch and retract. Rivers surge and then calm. Every movement conveys information. Every pause is a signal. Observation is no longer optional. It is survival. Humans learn to read these signals instinctively, to anticipate where the next root will rise, the next branch will fall, the next river will surge. Instinct sharpens. Reflexes are honed to avoid subtle threats. Pauses in a root's ascent are timed with breath, steps synchronized with the sway of trunks, bodies moving as one with the land. Humans are no longer simply intruders. They have become observers, students in a brutal and unyielding classroom. Every misstep is deadly. every hesitation fatal, yet every correct observation offers a temporary, precious lifeline. Groups form silent codes. Gestures, glances, even the slightest body movements convey warnings. Temporary openings are signaled with a nod, imminent danger with a shift in posture. Survival is a language, one built entirely from the movements and rhythms of the forest. Even in exhaustion, fear, and hunger, humans begin to anticipate the land's response before it fully manifests, predicting the subtle adjustments of roots, branches, and rivers. The Amazon, surging forward like a living continent, demonstrates the global scale of this adaptation. Rivers redirect, swamps swell, and dense jungle advances with unstoppable precision. Local forests follow suit, moving in patterns that suggest coordination, intelligence, and memory. Humans realize that no place is safe, but understanding patterns allows temporary corridors of escape. Every observation, every subtle recognition of the land's rhythm becomes a lifeline. Even with these instincts, the cost is high. One misjudged pause, one misread signal, and a root snaps upward, a trunk falls, a river sweeps away all hope. Survival requires constant vigilance, unrelenting focus, and the ability to move in harmony with a force far older and far stronger than ourselves. Fear is constant. Exhaustion gnaws at every body. Hunger and thirst become acute dangers, but the mind, sharpened by observation, becomes the greatest tool against the relentless green. Adaptation is also mental. Humans begin to anticipate the forest's learning. The land remembers our mistakes, and we must adjust continuously. A route that worked yesterday may be blocked today. Patterns shift as the forest tests, probes, and responds to every action. Survival becomes a game of anticipation, of aligning instinct with observation, of trusting subtle cues that speak of memory and awareness in the trees, roots, and rivers. Even in the darkest moments, there is understanding. Humanity has no control, yet we are capable of survival. Every temporary clearing, every subtle pause in a rising root, every hesitation of a bending trunk is a gift if observed carefully. We learn to move like shadows, silent, deliberate, flowing with the rhythms of a living, calculating world. Some begin to sense a strange connection. The land is not hostile in the way humans understand hostility. It is indifferent, patient, intelligent, observing, teaching. Every misstep is corrected. Every escape is temporary but instructive. The forest does not forget. It records. It adapts. And those who survive begin to feel its patterns, anticipate its movements, and respect its intelligence in a way that transcends fear. The scale of adaptation required is staggering. Every footstep, every pause, every glance must account for countless variables. Roots bending, trunks twisting, rivers surging, branches shifting. Mistakes are punished instantly. Success is fragile, fleeting, but achievable for those who read, anticipate, and synchronize with the movements of the land. Humans endure, but not without cost. Some fall, claimed by rising roots, trapped by bending trunks, or swept away by unpredictable rivers. Others survive by understanding the patterns, by reading the forest, and by moving in alignment with a force that is patient, relentless, and infinitely intelligent. Instinct and observation are fused. Fear and respect guide every action. Humanity has no mastery, only adaptation. And as the forests advance, both local and Amazonian, humanity learns to coexist, not in control, not as masters, but as observers, interpreters, and temporary participants in a world that remembers far longer than we can. Every movement is critical. Every observation is life. Every escape is provisional. The forest is patient, intelligent, and ever-present. Humans are learning to survive by moving in harmony with a force that cannot be beaten, only understood. The world has changed. Humanity is no longer in command. The forests, from the smallest grove to the immense Amazon, have reclaimed what was once theirs. Roads buckle beneath twisting roots. Rivers surge unpredictably, redirecting themselves with uncanny precision. Branches stretch and bend, blocking open spaces, testing every human decision. The land is patient, deliberate, and infinite. Those who remain are few. Exhausted, hungry, and haunted, they move cautiously, reading the signals the forest sends. Every step is a negotiation. Every pause is evaluated. The rules have shifted. Civilization, as it was known, is gone. Houses, highways, cities, forgotten. What remains are survivors, fragile and temporary, navigating a world that remembers. The forest is alive in ways humans cannot fully comprehend. The Amazon continues its inexorable advance, a continent-sized reminder of the scale and intelligence of nature. Swamps surge into plains, rivers redirect into valleys, and dense jungle climbs over farmland. Even open fields and hills offer no sanctuary. The green tide moves with precision, testing, adapting, learning. The forest's intelligence spans thousands of miles, unbroken, coordinated, unstoppable. Observation has become survival. Humans anticipate shifts in routes, pauses in trunk movements, surges in water, and gaps in branches. Every decision is life or death. Misreading a signal is fatal. Every temporary corridor of safety is an opportunity, fleeting but precious. The land does not tire, does not hesitate, does not act out of anger or malice. It acts with memory, strategy, and a deliberate reclaiming of space that was taken from it. Even now, the survivors understand. They are intruders, temporary and fragile. Every footstep, every glance, every breath is measured against the forest's patient intelligence. The earth is teaching a lesson older than humans, one written in roots, rivers, and trunks. The planet remembers. It adapts. It reclaims. And yet there is awe amidst terror. Watching the land rise, trees twist, rivers redirect, and roots surge with impossible force instills a strange reverence. This is not mindless destruction. This is the earth restoring balance, asserting itself with precision beyond comprehension. Humans are witnesses, fleeting presences, learning to exist within a world that predates them and will outlast them. Every structure built by humanity has been reduced to temporary fragments. Every road, bridge, and clearing has been absorbed, overtaken, and remade into a landscape of green intelligence. Even the smallest grove has become part of a vast, coordinated reclamation. Nothing stands untouched. nothing is permanent. Humans endure only by respecting the rhythms of the land and observing its lessons with care. The cost of survival is constant vigilance. Fatigue, fear, hunger, and loss weigh heavily on the few who remain. Yet observation, calculation, and adaptation allow life to continue, fragile and temporary. Humanity exists now as a shadow of its former self, small, careful, and respectful of a force that cannot be defeated, only understood. The forests do not pause. The Amazon, vast and ancient, surges onward, a living monument to Earth's memory. Rivers flow in new courses. Roots twist through terrain, adjusting to every human movement. Branches reach, bend, and retract. The world is a landscape of intelligence, a reminder that humans are fleeting, the forests eternal. The survivors move with the understanding that safety is provisional. Every escape is temporary. Every open space may vanish without warning. Yet they endure. They learn, observe, and respect. The Earth is no longer something to dominate. It is a force to navigate, a teacher, and a memory that will outlast every human life. And as the green tide continues, reshaping valleys, redirecting rivers, and reclaiming plains, humanity realizes the ultimate truth. Control was never ours. The land remembers. The forests remember. Every action, every footprint, every structure we built is part of its memory. And now, the Earth moves to restore what we once took, with patient, unstoppable, terrifying precision. The world is remade, the forest is patient, the Earth remembers, and humanity survives, fragile, temporary, and humbled in the presence of a force far greater than ourselves.